Episode of Excel with Gabrielle. I am your host, Gabrielle Jordan, and every Sunday at 7 p.m., I'll be giving motivational advice and entrepreneurial tips to new entrepreneurs and leaders just like yourself. So make sure to go to my website, GabrielleJordanInspires.com/Excel. Subscribe to the Excel Youth Mentoring Institute. And don't forget to tell other people about this because I wouldn't want anybody to miss anything. So today with Excel with Gabrielle, I have kind of sort of a part 2 for you when it comes to the adult interviews. Last month, I interviewed Mr. Bob Berg, one of the co-authors of The Go-Giver, and this month I will be interviewing the other co-author of The Go-Giver, Mr. John David Mann. Mr. John David Mann has written and co-authored many successful and best-selling books, but his journey didn't really start there. His journey started when he was 17 years old, when he decided to start a high school with a few of his friends. He then went on to starting and growing many successful companies, as well as writing for many well-known publications and journals. Mr. John has an amazing story and some wonderful wisdom for you all. So let's jump into this interview with Mr. John David Mann. Let's go. Welcome, Mr. John.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me. I'm very excited to get into this interview.
It's my pleasure to be here.
So last month we actually interviewed Mr. Bob, your co-author, and so we'll get into a little bit about The Go-Giver later. But let's start by talking a little bit about you as an entrepreneur. I know from since you were 17 years old, you actually started a high school. Can you share with us a lot about that? Because being so young and doing something so big, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a little different. I was 17, and I had a bunch of friends and I were sitting around one Saturday just kind of talking about how we weren't very excited. We were bored at our schools, basically. We were scattered over like a 10-mile radius, all kinds of different schools, all public schools. And they weren't terrible. I mean, it wasn't awful. It wasn't violent. We weren't having horrendous experiences. We were bored. We just weren't learning much.
Right.
And we were, I guess we were educationally ambitious. And we started kicking on the idea, what if we started our own school? What if we created a school? It was just one of those, Saturday afternoon what if kind of things. What if we created our own, what if we had our own school where we could study anything? Not just math and science and biology and chemistry and history and English, but if we could study anything, from computer programming to knitting to postmodern psychology to Greek mythology to whatever.
I want to go to that school.
Yeah, exactly. So what if we could study whatever we wanted, as many things as we wanted, as much as we wanted, and no requirements, but kind of like the ankle weights are off, just go.
Yeah.
We didn't want a place, and I got to be really clear on this. It wasn't like we were looking for a place with no requirements so we could just do nothing and hang out. It was like the opposite. We wanted a place where we could really dig in and engage.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened was, I think here's the critical thing. We were really fortunate that a few of us had parents who didn't say, "What are you kidding?" They said, "Keep talking about that."
That's critical.
Yeah, it was so cool. So we did. We kept talking about it. We kept meeting. We started kind of meeting regularly, and we started giving ourselves a name. And I actually dropped out of school. I was in my 10th grade, my sophomore year.
Yeah.
I was in my junior year, I guess, 11th grade. And my parents let me drop out so that I could put full-time effort on this project.
Wow.
And we interviewed, we decided pretty early on that we needed an adult. Mm-hmm. We needed somebody who could do things we didn't know how to do, which was a lot of things. And it was going to take money. We needed to find a way to get that. And so we started interviewing for position of director. And the starting salary of this position was, what was the number again? Oh, right, 0. We wanted to hire, we said, position open, forward-thinking, alternative high school, right. Innovative, position for director, salary 0. Right. And we found some really interesting people. I mean, some fascinating, talented people, men and women both.
And they were willing to go without pay?
For starters.
Right.
I mean, the idea was that they would generate their own pay. The idea was they would help to fundraise, to raise what we needed for the school, raise their own salary, and help to kind of articulate what we needed to get articulated that we couldn't do ourselves.
Yeah.
So we ended up hiring a guy. I won't, spend our whole interview talking about this. So I'll cut. Long story short, we ended up hiring a guy who had an educational background. He's actually become since a novelist. His name is Julian Thompson. He wrote a wonderful novel, kind of a dark comedy about teens called The Grounding of Group 6. Very, very cool novel. And he came and he was our director for years.
Wow.
And we started the school. And I went to it in my 12th grade year. I graduated from that school.
Is it still up and running now?
No, it ran for about 10 years.
Oh, wow. That is great.
In our first semester, I think we had 45 students and 50 subjects.
That is amazing. That is actually really amazing. I feel like right off the bat, this interview is going to be really good, just because one of my main things for the young people that are watching is to dream big. And how big do you have to dream in order to create a high school? That is amazing. Yeah. I mean, at only 17. Having the idea of creating a high school, for like a real high school that ran for 10 years, that is amazing. And so I definitely, I know when Mr. Bob was telling me a little bit about that before we'd have the interview, I was like, that is definitely something I want, the young people that are watching to kind of hear about, to realize that, again, at any age, you can do something, you can be very successful. So right off the bat, that is very, very inspiring.
It's real true. It's so true. I mean, you're such an obvious example of that. But it's not like you're the only person on the planet.
Exactly.
Who is honestly anybody. I mean, you're so right. You can definitely dream big. In fact, you have to dream big.
Exactly.
It's not that you just snap your fingers and things happen, obviously.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you practice dreaming big, when you kind of make it just your normal way of thinking, thinking big, thinking possibility, thinking what if I could, what if I could, what if I could. Things start to happen that come into line, that just sort of resources show up and people start to listen. And when you see this yourself. Yeah.
Definitely. And so kind of going fast forward into another business that you have, a multi-million-dollar sales and distribution company.
Right.
Share with us, how you kind of got started in that, how you kind of transitioned from being author of multiple very successful books. Again, we're going to talk about a little bit about that, but kind of can you share with me how you kind of transition into this world and how you got to this level of success?
A casual glance at my career would have you think that I'm the poster child for ADD. I mean, I've done a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
And so after the school, I went back and I actually taught there for a year. And then I went and pursued a career in music. I was a cellist. And so I played in the symphony orchestra and I played recitals, and that was my track.
Yeah.
And I got off that track kind of abruptly when I got very interested in health and nutrition, and I pursued that for years. And in the course of that pursuit, I became interested in different companies that were selling nutritional supplements that I thought were really, really good for people. And so I kind of got into the whole area of nutrition and health, and sales came out of that. I never sat down and said, I want to be a business person.
Right.
This kind of happened.
Yeah.
Same way I never sat down and said, I would like to be an educator.
Mm-hmm.
It worked out.
Yeah.
So I was involved in that business for many, many years. And as you said, it grew very large. We had a large sales organization. It was very exciting. I did a lot of public speaking in that, and it was kind of like sales management, essentially. And in the course of that, I did a lot of sort of incidental writing for newsletters, editing other people's stuff for newsletters, worked in the staff of a few periodicals, and I ended up starting a magazine, starting a journal with a friend about network marketing, multi-level marketing, direct sales, kind of that whole sphere.
When did you start that?
Say what?
When did you start that?
So we started that publication in 1990.
Oh, wow.
And that ran for a year. It became very successful. 3 of us ran that. And then there were a few other periodicals that kind of spun off that I then also went to work for. So I ended up being editor-in-chief of first this publication and then that one and then another one. And in the course of all that, I was doing a lot of editing other people's stuff. And again, I never sat down and said, I would like to be a writer.
Right.
But that's what happened. I was actually pursuing a career in screenwriting. I thought that would be really, really interesting. And this was about 2000, 2002, 2003, in those years, beginning of the century. I decided I wanted a new career, and that was screenwriting. So I poured myself into that.
Yeah.
And I was just doing that when this friend of mine came along and said, would you write this book with me? And I had no time for that, and it was very irritating. Very annoying. It was such a distraction. And that was Bob Berg, and it ended up being the most successful thing I ever did. So that book, The Go-Giver, got me on the track of pouring myself full-time into writing, which is what I've been doing ever since.
And so that's really kind of what inspired you to decide to write the book? Or would you say that's
Yeah.
something that really inspired you, kind of triggered you to wanting to do this?
It did. It triggered me. Yeah, it definitely triggered me. I'd done a lot of writing, like I said, incidentally, articles, editorials, editing a lot of other people's stuff. And I fell in love with writing. I just, at that point, after we wrote The Go-Giver, I was like, I want to do this. I really like this. So a lot of what I've done has been co-writing with other people. So in the case of Bob, we really just kind of co-wrote it. It's both our books. We're like, two parents of the same child.
Right.
We had kind of 50-50 input. A lot of the books I've done have been somebody else's story and I write their story. My Navy SEAL books. I team up with this guy, Brandon, who's an ex-Navy SEAL. And I write about his experiences. It's his life. I'm the writer. And so we have that kind of partnership.
That's really cool.
It's been fun. I say that because the point of it is that writing is a very solitary pursuit.
Yeah.
But it's never really that way because you're always working with other people, whether it's your editor, your agent, your publisher, in my case, your co-authors.
Yeah.
A big part of the success of career as a writer is the same as it is for any kind of entrepreneur, which is it's also about teamwork and how you work with other people. You have to be able to work with other people and kind of be in it to support them as well as to follow your own dreams and ambitions because, no person is an island. So,
how many books would you say you've written?
About 24.
Wow, that is amazing. So for the authors that are watching, I'm pretty sure that you are goals right now. Just the amount of books that you have written and co-authored, that's really amazing. That's clapworthy. That's really great. And so, for the young people, or for the people that have not read The Go-Giver, or for them that have, which is I'm included because I love that book so much, what is something that you would really want someone to take from that? If anything, what would that one thing be that you'd want them to take from The Go-Giver?
The idea in The Go-Giver, it's I could make this more succinct, but let me say it in a paragraph. It's easy to kind of get a superficial glimpse of the story or the concept and kind of think, oh, it's like all about being a nice person, and being in service to other people. It's not really about being a nice person. I mean, being nice is awesome. That's just fine.
Right.
But that's not what we're talking about because it isn't like nice guys finish last. Right. There's a lot of nice people who are broke, and miserable and struggling and having. It's not about that.
Yeah.
The idea of the book is that operating out of a mindset that puts other people's interests first, or that focuses on other people's interests, that is sort of from a mindset of service, not in the sense of self-sacrifice, not in the sense of being a martyr, not in the sense of negating yourself, but in the sense of, okay, it's a new day. What can I do to make the world a better place? What can I do? I'm meeting you. What can I do to make your day better, to make your life better? How can I serve your career? What do I know that I can give you? Or what do I have? Or what connection do I have? Or what, even if it's just listening to you for 10 minutes, what can I do to add value to your life?
Right.
The message of the book is that operating that way is how genuinely successful people operate. When you operate that way, you end up being very successful.
It's very
It's
powerful.
it's not like me first, money first, my success first, my goals first. It's other people first, and in the process, my goals get met in a very, very big way.
Yeah.
And that's true not just in business, that's true in marriage, it's true in friendship, it's true in family, it's true in community, it's true in any domain.
So for the young people that are going to read this book or rereading this book, keep that in mind as you read that, because that's very, very powerful. That's kind of really how I was raised, and then by reading this book, I kind of got that refresher course of kind of serving other people will in a way kind of bring good back to you in a way, like, do unto others like you have them done to you, and also when you give, you receive, that kind of mindset, but still having it in that business way where it's not just about me, but about kind of working together in order to have a collective goal and things. So that was something that I kind of gathered from the book that was really that was something that I feel like that's why this book is something you read quarterly, or like you read that often, because you need to refresh yourself on how to do effective business. So I really do love that book, and it's not just about business; it's about life as well. So
you said it really well. That was beautiful. You said effective business, and that's what we're talking about. It's not about giving away the story. Sometimes people will write to us and say, "Oh, I read your book, and I'm really excited. I'm going to start giving away my services for free." Right. No, that's not what we're talking about. There's a time and a place to give things, as a premium or as a dish or whatever, but that's not what we mean. We're not talking about giving everything away and that it's like bad to charge. It's not bad to charge. The idea is that the purpose of the business is to add value to other people. Mm-hmm. In the process of doing that, you should get rich. I mean, that should be So think of Steve Jobs. We don't think of him as a nice person, although I think that the image in the films has been a little bit distorted. Yeah. But you don't think of him as a generous teddy bear kind of guy. Right. Difficult personality, prickly. But he was so focused on how can I add value to the experience of the personal computer, of the phone, of whatever. He added so much value to people's lives that everybody in the world walks around holding one of his phones. That's why Apple got to be so huge. Yeah. It wasn't out of greed or selfishness or sneaky business practices. Yeah. It was out of the enormous value that.
I found that was like that key thing that also that people should take from it is that importance of adding value to your product. What was the one of the laws was, the measure of your value is what you give in service in a way.
Exactly. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment.
That was key right there. That was one of the most important things, because value is so crucial. That's that's how you continue business with people when you have value in your product and in your service and who you are.
It's like go the extra mile.
Exactly.
Say it in a few words.
Exactly. So I guess to finish off, I know you've shared some really great tips, but is there any nuggets from maybe your personal life, your story, that you would give to a young person that maybe wants to be an author or an entrepreneur? Because one thing I really love about your story is that with some people, you have those people that are extremely focused on that one thing, like myself. I'm extremely focused on that thing that I really want to do. But then you had someone like you where you had so many different ideas and so many things that you were focused on, but you still came out very successful. So was there something that you'd want to share with a young person that maybe has that same mindset like you, that's all over the place? You have so many different ideas, but they still want to be successful in different areas.
Keep going. I do have one principle that I'd be happy to share, which is really critical for a writer, but I think it's also really critical for any entrepreneur, because being an entrepreneur and being a writer are the same thing in essence. Yeah. It's just you're creating something out of nothing. Mm-hmm. You're creating something that wasn't there before, and you're bringing it into existence. Yes. With a writer, it's words. With an entrepreneur, it's a business. But it's the same thing. So to me, there's sort of these two twin principles that contradict each other, but they're both really critical. Yeah. And here's an example. Stephen King, the writer, says that when you write a first draft of a book, you write it with the door closed. And when you work on the second draft, you do it with the door open. And what he means is, when you're in the first draft, and this could be when you're first coming up with an idea for a business, or when you're first, whatever, when you're first creating something, you kind of have to shut out the world. And all the people telling you can't do it, all the people telling you reasons why it's going to be difficult, all the reasons why no one's ever done this before, or whatever. You have to shut all that out and kind of be a little bit tunnel visioned on your vision, what you see. You have to believe in yourself to an unreasonable degree. But if you stop there, if you just do that, you will be an amazing failure because you'll make awful mistakes that you can't recover from. The other part of it is, as King says, the second draft you write with the door open, and what that means is, once you've written the first draft, then you show it to people that you trust, not to the whole world, but you find people whose opinions you value and trust, and you show it to them and say, what do you think? Really, no, really, don't tell me you love it. Tell me what you really think. If it's your business, same thing. Show it to trusted friends and advisors and say, here's what I have in mind. What do you think? Tell me everything. Don't hold back. And here's the key. When they tell you what they think, listen.
And I hope you guys are listening. Before you continue, I hope you guys are listening. This is so amazing. Continue.
I still find this hard. I got to tell you, right now, in fact, before we had this call, and I'll be doing it after we hang up, I'm working on the draft of a book that I'm writing right now. And I thought it was done a few weeks ago. And I gave it to my agent, who's also an editor, who's wonderful. And she came back and said, this is like, there's some major problems, basically, she said. And I so did not want to hear it. I was like, no, she's so wrong. I can't believe she'd say that. Usually she's right, but this time she's really off track. I've done over a dozen books with her. I know that she's right, but it's emotionally difficult. But finally, I took myself by the hand and sat down and said, John, if the second draft, the door is open, listen. She was right. She was right. The book wasn't good. It wasn't where it needed to be. I really needed to make some major changes in it, which I'm making now. It's going to be so much better as a result. But that is to listen to yourself to the exclusion of everybody else first, and then to listen to everybody else. Doesn't mean they're always right, but there will always be something in what people say, even when you don't agree. There will be something in what they say that you need to listen to, you need to hear, because the universe knows you better than you know yourself, and the world has a bigger perspective on you than you have on yourself. And if you can do that, if you can trust yourself, believe in yourself, listen to yourself, and at the same time, take the perspective the world is giving you and incorporate that, you are golden and you will make it happen.
This interview was amazing, by the way. What you just shared is so crucial because I find, to be able to listen to what people have to say, even if it's something that you may not want to hear, but it's something that you can learn from. That's a skill that people really need to develop in order to become successful. So everything that this interview was an amazing learning experience for me personally. Thank you so much for joining me. And can you share with us your website before we close?
Sure. First, a quick commercial. Got a new book coming out.
Oh, yes. I am very excited for that, by the way.
Coming out in a few weeks. So that's that book, all my books, everything I do, my blog, it's all on my website, which is johndavidmann.com.
Perfect. And the link will be down below so you can check him out and check out The Go-Giver and all the 24 books that he has written. I've not read all of them, but I'm pretty sure they're amazing. So thank you so much again, John David Mann, for joining me on Excel with Gabrielle.
Thank you, Gabrielle. You are an inspiration. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you. you.
Thank you for watching another episode of Excel with Gabrielle. I hope that you enjoyed this interview with Mr. John David Mann. He shared some amazing advice and great tips for you all. So make sure to check out his website, the book The Go-Giver, and the new book that's coming out, The Go-Giver Leader. Also, make sure to go to my website, GabrielleJordanInspires.com/Excel. Subscribe to the Excel Youth Mentoring Institute. You can email me at excel@GabrielleJordanInspires.com to send me any questions, comments, or concerns that you'd like me to discuss in my next video. And I hope that you'll join me next Sunday at 7 p.m. to learn, grow, and excel with Gabrielle. See you later. Bye.